Peace and abundance always. Welcome. My name is Peter Abundant, aka Dr. Abundant, PhD and Minister of Metaphysical Sciences. Today, we're going to continue our journey into going deeper into the meaning of numbers, the significance of really understanding the numbers that resonate with you the most, to getting into angel numbers, which are the universe's way of communicating various messages to you, letting you know that pretty much you're on the right path. So today we are going to get into the number 9. 9 is a really significant, very powerful number because 9 represents the last of the digit, the last of the numbers. When asked how many numbers there are, you will have either two answers, meaning infinity, or you will have the other answer, which is there are only 9 numbers, right? Going from 1 through 9. So 9 represents completion, okay? Not only does it represent completion when it comes to the numbers themselves, but in life, in different phases of life, in different areas of life, it also represents things like transformation, right? Because when one area or a part of your life is complete, another part begins, right? When one door closes, another one opens. It also represents wisdom, spiritual enlightenment, and also humanitarian service. Now, what I really want us to lean into is the spiritual enlightened aspect of it, because like I said before, with the number 9, it represents completion and wisdom. When you think about the number 9 and when you really get into, I think most of us understand that the number 9 represents completion. We don't understand why it represents that. But when we get into, okay, yes, it does complete the numeral numbers, right, from 1 through 9. And then every other number after 9 is a variation of those individual numbers. So we see 9 as, yes, okay, I can understand it being the representation of completion because it completes the set. But also we need to get into how it represents the completion of different phases of life. And how, in order for you to really understand how important it is to complete different areas of your life, not as a means to really thinking that, oh, it's over, but recognizing that it's just about transitioning from one phase to another, right? You don't ever want to be stuck in the same space in your life. You don't ever want to remain in a constant state of, similarity or familiarity or stagnation or a continuous existence that never changes or evolves. When you recognize that change is very important and something that you must embrace, you must value, you must honor and respect, that comes with wisdom. And with that wisdom comes the ability to recognize that 9 or completion of things is very important for you to move on to the next thing. In other words, for you to evolve as a person, to evolve into your spirituality, to evolve from one situation to another, right? Ultimately getting better throughout the course of your life and throughout the course of your experiences. It's important to recognize the significance of completion. And 9 represents that, okay? And when you are really connected with acknowledging the completion, acknowledging change, transformation, and you apply that, right? You gain the wisdom from that. It leads ultimately to spiritual enlightenment because it allows you to gain or see things from a very open-minded point of view, right? It allows you to really be exposed to all aspects of who you are and all aspects of life. And so you can see things in a very open-minded, but a very from a perspective of recognizing different angles of what's going on, rather than what most people do is only see it from one very narrow, very, you know, very rigid point of view. But when you recognize the importance of completion, you recognize the importance of change, then you start to see, okay, well, obviously this has to quote unquote end, but endings doesn't necessarily mean that it ceases to exist. Ending represents completion, meaning that it just simply transforms or it ascends, right? Like relationships. We all tend to think that relationships have to come to an end, right? Even if it gets down to, you know, death do us part kind of situation where one passes away and the other one still lives until that person passes away. But ultimately, what we fail to see is that even in death, that relationship still continues on. It just transforms, right? So even in relationships, though we see them as things that either exist and then they cease to exist, meaning they stop, they really don't. They just simply transform. You complete a phase, you complete the necessity of what that relationship needed to be for both people, right? But eventually it may come to a point where one person or the both people identify that, okay, we need to change the nature of this relationship because the way we structured it, right? The way we labeled it, what have you, doesn't serve us anymore. So let's transform, let's complete this, and thus acknowledge and respect the connection that we have, and thus go into another phase, right? Now, that can go into a whole nother conversation when it comes to relationships, but I just thought that would be a good example to help you to recognize how completion doesn't mean the end of it all, right? It doesn't mean it ceases to exist. It just simply ceases to exist in that state. It transforms into something else. It's like the caterpillar ceases to exist, but from that, it transforms into a butterfly, you see? Now, when we compare that to, say, the material focused energy of the number eight, eight was about financial, abundance and creating that material wealth, that energy that focuses on balancing the material and the spiritual. The vibration of nine is about letting go. Okay. It's about embracing the endings and recognizing that you're stepping into a higher level of consciousness. You see, this is what I mean by letting go, embracing the endings, because as you are ascending to a higher level of consciousness, the endings are becoming new beginnings because of how you are perceiving and how you are experiencing that thing, because your consciousness has changed. Your consciousness has evolved, opened up, it is expressing itself outward, right? You are actually tapping into that consciousness. You see? So the number is of universal love. It's of selflessness. Okay. And it's about higher purpose. We talked about humanitarian services and how this represents like that understanding of being a complete whole person and recognizing that because you are tapped into higher levels of consciousness, you recognize that there is no separation between you and I. And so now we are at a space where we can actually really connect with other people, right? Connect with understanding humanity in a whole different level. And thus we can be of greater service to people, not just giving people physical, material things, but emotionally, spiritually connecting and giving to people in a way that allows us all to elevate to a higher level. Okay. Now, people will resonate with the number nine, often feel a strong call of service to others, serving others, right? They feel a sense of the need to share wisdom, okay, and to help humanity evolve, because you understand that ironically, though we're talking about the number nine, you also understand oneness, right? The oneness of all things, because you are tapped in and you understand your spirituality on a whole deeper level, you see? So is a deeply spiritual number. And it is basically signaling the end of cycles and the beginning of transformation. So that is the basic significance of 9. So let's get deeper into the core meanings of 9, right? 9 represents completion and endings. Now, endings also mean beginnings because nothing ever ceases. It doesn't ever stop existing. It just simply transforms into another phase, another thing. Okay. Nothing ever happens in isolation. It was just simply a step or a process by which things are going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Whereas nothing really happens where it just randomly happens out of isolation with no reference point, with no, sense of origin, just big bang, right? Like it just doesn't happen like that. There is a sense of desire. There's a sense of cause and effect that's always at play. All right. So it's a reminder that something in your life is coming to a close, or it is making way for new beginnings, right? So when you look at 9, that's essentially what you're understanding as far as completion and endings. 9 also represents wisdom and higher knowledge. 9 is a very powerful number. All right. It is about encouragement to embrace your spiritual insights and your life lessons. Again, it gets back into understanding the connection between all these things that are happening or has happened, and understanding that they all accumulate and culminate into self-realization. They all come into a space where you recognize who you truly are, right? That individual spark, that individualized expression of the universe, of the creator. All right. It is about letting go. It is about transformation. Letting go is a big deal because many of us whom are attached or whom are being driven or being led by the ego, we identify so much. We're so attached to the ego mindset, that false self, that we are clingy with things, with experiences, with people, with ideas, jobs, places, right? And we're not letting ourselves free and letting go of those things. Okay. So it's a sign to release what no longer serves you. It's a sign to let go of that because they are weighing you down and they are slowing down the process of you coming into the self-realization as to who you are. 9 represents spiritual enlightenment. It's a reminder that you are evolving into your higher state of consciousness, into your higher self, your true self. I really want that to be something that you really let sink in. When we talk about higher self, when we talk about higher states of consciousness, when we talk about your higher mind, your superconscious mind, what we're really talking about is the truest essence of who you are. When we talk about consciousness, we're talking about the core, the root of who you are, right? Your very essence, your very being. All the other things, conscious mind, subconscious mind, unconscious mind, ego, those things are necessary while we're here in this physical realm, but they are not unapologetically you, right? They have conditions. They have programs that they follow, you see? But your consciousness is pure, is you down to the core, okay? That is essentially you, all right? Let's get into the angel numbers of 9, the divine message of completion and higher purpose. So when you see 9 in repeating sequences, which is 99, 999, 9999, I have to count because sometimes I can get confused as well. The universe essentially is urging you to release the old, trust the process of transformation, and step into your higher purpose. Okay. So when you start identifying and start seeing these numbers 9, take note and recognize, okay, what's going on in life right now? Are you dialed in, right? Are you experiencing a lot of, you know, just insightful awareness and understandings and things that are just popping into your mind that you just feel like, wow, okay, where did that thought come from? Or experiences where you're running into people who are on a higher level of frequency and vibration, right? That is also a sign that you are also elevating your frequency. So be mindful about that. So you'll start seeing 9s just to give you a sign to let you know what? This is what's happening. This is the indicator. This is the sign that's happening. All right. So when you see 9s repeating in these sequences, again, the universe is urging you, let go of the old, trust the process of this transformation. Don't be resistant. So if you start feeling like you're attracting new kinds of different people, right, on a higher frequency, and you're starting to feel like you're drifting away from your old friends, trust the process. This is you aligning with your desires, with your purpose. All right. When you start to notice things around your job are starting to change, or you're starting to think and recognize new opportunities that align with your purpose or your curiosity, follow that. Okay. You start seeing 9s to just bring it to your awareness. Like, okay, what's going on? What's going on that aligns with your purpose? What's going on that aligns with you letting go? Okay. With you recognizing the spiritual, aspect of yourself that is really coming into enlightenment. Okay. Really coming into recognizing that the ideas, the concepts of life that we once held are ones of ignorance, right? Ones of doubt, ones of fear that is driven by the ego. And now we're not alone, we're not identified with that false self anymore. We're recognizing, okay, we are connecting with consciousness, the pure self, all right, the true self. Okay. So seeing 9 is a message that a phase in your life is ending. So don't fear the ending. Embrace it. See it as opportunity, because that's all it is. The universe is letting you know there is a shift that's going to happen. There is a transformation that is taking place. And so you are coming from the state of being a caterpillar and you are in the transformation of becoming a butterfly. Okay. And so you want to embrace that. And the best way to embrace it is to know it's coming. So that's why you're going to start seeing these number 9s everywhere. Okay. Or number 9s, you may not see it everywhere all the time. I don't want it to seem like every number you're going to see now is a 9, but you're going to see it in odd places. It's going to stick out random moments. All right. That's just your mind communicating, listening to your higher self, the universe, and recognizing, okay, something's happening here. Pay attention. All right. So it's about preparing for something new. It's about recognizing that you are on your way along this journey. The path of spirituality isn't a path where, you visualize a path and that path is, it's not on a desert, right? An endless desert. No, you're going to experience different, environments, different types of weather, right? Different climates, right? Those are all symbology for basically different situations throughout your life. And so as you go from one to the next, yeah, you may find yourself comfortable in the current state that you're in, and you may feel attachment to that, and you may not want that to change. You may fear changing because it's going to be disruptive. That's okay. The universe is wanting you to be your true self and follow your true path and purpose. So recognizing these numbers is when you get prepared, is when you recognize that the transformation is happening, is going to take place. Be ready so that way when it happens, you're not thrown off and you're not resistant. Okay. So let's get into the actual angel numbers of 9 and its variations. So the single digit 9 is a sign that a chapter is closing, okay, and a spiritual growth is taking place. 99, right, is a call to align with your soul's purpose and focus on serving others. Remember, when we think about serving others, we are also recognizing that those others are extensions, reflections, expressions of the self. You see, it is a whole deeper level when you're vibrating in the frequency of 9, because now you're at a very high, elevated state of consciousness. You do not see others as separate from you. They are one with you. Okay. Now, 999, 3 nines. It's a powerful message that you are stepping into a new spiritual cycle. Okay. Trust the endings. Allow the endings to take place so that way this new spiritual cycle can actually support you in being your true self. Finally, 9999, that is 4 nines. It is a complete transformation of your unfoldment. Okay. So surrender and embrace your higher path. Your ego, yes, it's going to want to be resistant because the ego fears that things are going to change. The ego doesn't like change. The ego likes being in a nice protective bubble where it feels you are being protected. Change for the ego sometimes represents danger. But when we're coming from our consciousness, which is what 9 represents, then we recognize there really is no such thing as danger. Okay? There is only the unfoldment. There is only the awakening, right? There is only enlightenment that frees you up of wasting so much energy on things like fear, insecurity, doubt, jealousy, inadequacies, right? Those all get left alone and left far away from your reality. Let's get deeper into the spiritual meaning of 9. So we're going to get into the different belief systems and how they overlap, okay? The number 9 is deeply connected with universal wisdom, spiritual completion, and enlightenment. It represents the highest form of consciousness and reminds us that we are all interconnected. All right. So when it comes to sacred geometry, 9 symbolizes the spiral of evolution, the spiral of ascension. Okay. In biblical numerology, 9 represents divine completeness and the fruits of the spirit. In tarot, the Hermit card is the 9 card, right? That represents deep introspection, wisdom, and spiritual guidance. And then in astrology, 9 is linked to the planet Neptune, the planet of spirituality, intuition, and divine wisdom. So when you start seeing 9s everywhere, what do? Right? Besides saying, oh my God, I see 9s. This is what you do, all right? You let go of what no longer serves you. We've mentioned that before on a few other numbers. That is very important because when you recognize what no longer serves you and you let those go, what's left? Okay. It is what serves you. It is what is supportive of you. It is what is leading you to your purpose. Ultimately, this is what will bring your true fulfillment to you. Okay. So it's about releasing emotional baggage, limiting beliefs, and outdated situations, right? Or even toxic relationships. All those things that you know do not resonate with your higher self, let it go. Yes, I know you're going to possibly feel a space of, fear, doubt, loss of identity, and that's kind of the point. You have identified as being a person who has these things, these limiting beliefs, emotional baggage, outdated situation, toxic relationships. You have identified yourself as being that person. Let those things go because you are not those things. You are not that person. Okay. So you have to let go of things that don't serve you anymore. Trust that endings are necessary for growth. You have to trust that. You have to recognize that literally, you can break down every single thing into an ending, right? Each statement that I make is an ending. Each word that I speak can be an ending. Each syllable, each breath that I take can be an ending, but they also are beginnings to something else, right? Each breath that ends is the beginning of a new breath. Each moment that ends is the beginning of a new moment. So you have to take that into the macro, recognizing, okay, this relationship, the way things are going right now, we have to transform and change that. We have to end the way things are going now, how we identify with the relationship, how we communicate with the relationship with each other, and transform that. How and what's the best way? What's the most productive? What's the most, beneficial way for us both to do that? Sometimes you can miss a match. Sometimes you have to completely sever the relationship altogether. But whatever it takes for you to be fulfilled, happy, free, it is going to lead to your growth. Okay? New doors will open once you close the old ones. This is what life is all about, moment to moment. Every moment is a door closing, and every moment is a door opening. Okay? Now, again, you want to embrace your higher purpose. Focus on serving others, sharing your wisdom, your experiences, and uplifting the world. You don't need to be an expert to share your wisdom, your perspective, your experience. Okay? You can share what you've been through in support of uplifting somebody else. You can just simply tell your story, share your insight, share your discoveries, right? Share what you are learning. Okay? It will help other people. We are living in the information age. This is about sharing and gathering knowledge to uplift the consciousness of the entire planet, the entire universe. All right. Lastly, when you see nines, prepare for transformation. That is your sign to get ready. A new chapter is beginning. And all you got to do is just trust the process. Let go of attachments to what was. Because a lot of times when we are attached to what was, we don't believe that it can get much better. But it can always get better. Okay? As long as you are aligned with your true self, you are authentic, right? You are being a person of integrity, of love and compassion. You will always ascend in your experiences because you are ascending in terms of your consciousness and accessing that consciousness. All right. So let's get into an exercise. So the 9 release renewal ritual. So you're going to write down things that you are ready to release, whether it be negative habits, toxic relationships, outdated beliefs. You can write down 4, you can write down 10, you can write down 9 just to go and, be aligned with the theme of 9, so you can write down 9 things that you're just absolutely ready to release. They can be big or small. It's up to you. And then you're going to thank each one for the lessons that it has brought you. Okay. You're going to be thankful that they have brought you to the space of recognizing that you need to release them. You see, many times when we think about the hardships that we go through in life or even our negative emotions when we're triggered, we forget that they are signs, they are indicators, symptoms that something is not aligned. And when you recognize that, when you apply spiritual wisdom, when it comes to recognizing these things, then they become gifts, they become lessons. And so take opportunity to be thankful that they were, right? Because they have shifted you. You looking at them from that perspective has allowed you to shift and elevate your frequency and open up your consciousness. So you get closer to who you truly are versus being attached and stuck in who you thought you were. All right. Affirmation. I release what no longer serves me with love and gratitude. I welcome new beginnings. Here's another exercise. Safely, though. Be safe about this. Take all the things that you wrote down, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to write them on a piece of paper. You're going to put them, make sure you're in a safe place, all right? You're going to burn them, or you can simply tear the paper as a symbol of letting go, okay? Very powerful exercise. This represents completion, letting it go, moving forward, all right? So my final thoughts on the number 9. 9 is about completion, it's about wisdom, it's about spiritual growth. When you see it, take it as a sign, all right, to release the past, to embrace transformation, and step into your higher purpose. The universe is always guiding you toward new, toward being enlightened, okay? So trust the journey. Let go of the past, embrace completion, endings, new situations, right? Your true self, because that's what these new situations lead to. When you allow them to happen and you ascend in your experiences and your joy for the moment, being in the moment, it allows you to actually open up your consciousness and recognize who you truly are. All right. So that is the numerology and the breakdown of the angel numbers of 9. Recognize that you are a complete and whole being. So if anything, when you think about 9 as the number of completion, recognize that you are complete. All right. There really is nothing that you have to do or be. You just simply have to be yourself. Thank you so much. Feel free, go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my daily newsletter, and get access to this free ebook. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.